Shoo-be-doo-bop,
Shooby-doo-bop-ba-da.
shoo-be-doo-bop-ba-da. Good morning, Michael Knight down there in Pasadena,
And
California.
good
It's time for
morning, good morning, all you Louis Prima lovers out there who just need a little shooby-doo-bop-ba-da. Did Louis Prima ever go to work ever in his life and say, I just don't feel it.
when he was
I don't think I
maybe,
don't I don't think I'm into it tonight.
oh no, I don't think Louis Prima ever had a day where he said, I'm not into it today. And you know what? If he did, he abided by the cardinal rule of show business. Never let him know
The
you're
show must
sick.
go on.
Yeah, the show must
It's
go on,
true.
man.
You don't say,
And
"Oh, I got a little thing in my throat tonight, folks. I hope you forgive me for it, but we wanted to put on a good show for you." You don't say any of that. You never apologize. You never confess. You never give in. You never show. You never break the fourth wall. That's why they call it a show business. Is you got to make a show, and that's your business,
as
and it's none of anybody's business.
as an old program director of mine who shall remain nameless, but Chris once told me, "Get in there and do the show."
That actually is the
That
best
was
advice I've ever heard Chris Miller give anybody.
no, it
I have
wasn't
to
Chris
apologize.
Miller. This was another Chris.
Oh,
It
Chris
was not
Miller.
Chris Miller.
I
Chris was my
I I don't think Chris Miller liked me, and I gave him good reason to not like me. I used to write memos from the program director that I would post in the Chalk Lounge, and my program director's name was Buck Savage. And Buck always had a word or two of advice for everyone on how to live their lives and be more productive KRQR rockers.
well, I think that's a noble thing to do. It
I remember
certainly could get
H&R
you
called
fired.
me.
I don't know. I don't
H&R
want to
wanted to
spend too
know who
much
was
time.
writing them. And I said, "Oh, I wrote those." And the H&R director, who liked me a lot more than Chris Miller did, said, "Let's not do that anymore."
Now, I don't want to spend a lot of time on Chris because I have a lot of respect for him because he gave me a pretty big break in the business. But I will ask you, how would you know if Chris liked you or not?
He would
I, I,
his usually frigid manner of cigarette, coffee, and nothing else would slide by me in the hallway without eye contact. And after the first 20 times that happens, you get the idea that you're dealing with someone who's probably the result of a mating spree gone wrong with an amphibian and an
now,
encouragement.
now,
Who
now,
knows?
now, now, Michael. Come on. We don't want to slander anybody here.
I
I
think
mean,
there was an amphibian involved in the making of that program director. Anyway, we gave
anyway,
each other hell. We gave each other hell, and he won.
yeah. Well, you know what? They always do win ultimately, right? I mean, what sucks is, and I don't want on a day like today, you don't want to roll too much into the radio business. But what always sucks is they fire you, and then 6 months later they get fired. So you feel like
Right.
you should get when they get fired, you should get your job back.
Well, they bought 6 months by firing you.
Yeah. I mean, when I was over at when I was in Pittsburgh, they fired me, and I don't know, a year later, less than a year later, they fired the program director that fired me. It's a it's a weird business. Mama, don't bring your babies up to be radio people. By the time you bring your babies up, anyway, there's probably going to be no radio. But
There
bring
may,
them up
there,
to
there
be
may be
podcast people.
there may be radios, an actual receiver, but there's nobody sending you anything. That's
You'll
the
just
problem with the
get.
radio.
They'll be.
Everybody can receive it, but nobody is willing to send anything.
Well, I wonder, Michael, if one day we are going to experience some scientists, some people who know how to do this stuff, capturing all of the radio signals that we've sent out through time and bringing them back to Earth so
That's
that you
funny.
will be able to actually hear the September 27th, 1959 broadcast of Wolfman Jack on what was it? Extra
XERB.
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 XERB. You'll be able to actually hear that broadcast. We'll have a device so powerful that it will scan the heavens for what you're looking for and find that signal and bring it back to Earth in your radio. So you can go back if you want to hear Herb
It's out there.
Oscar Anderson, the day the Beatles came to New York City.
I want to hear the real Don Steele's first day on KEWB in Oakland.
Yep. You want to hear Cousin Brucey's first night shift at WABC. It'll all be there because a lot of that stuff isn't on tape. They didn't tape that stuff. A lot of that stuff is, gone.
Where did Brucey come from before he got to New York?
That's a good question. I'm almost going to say Poughkeepsie. I'm almost going to say he worked at a station up in Poughkeepsie because he's a New York guy.
He was born in the boroughs.
Well, he might have been born in the suburbs, but I think I'm pretty sure he's a New York guy. And I believe for some reason there was a station up in Poughkeepsie that brought in a lot of the talent that was used in New York City radio. It was like the farm system.
Exactly.
And a number of people, and a number of people work there, or there's another station in Hartford that's like that. And a number of people who work there, and you could actually hear the signal in New York City if you played with it enough. And
by the way, where are the Mets AAA affiliates this year? While we're talking about farm clubs.
Boy, good question. I believe Buffalo is the AAA. And I don't know if I even know the rest. I used to know them like the back of my hand.
I know.
But
well, how did your Mets do before we get into more serious business? How did your Mets do for the first weekend?
I think they did okay. They powered through the Marlins, which is probably a pretty good, and it's funny because I think they won. Boy, I didn't pay much attention to the Mets. I'm pretty sure they won 3-1 or 2-1, something like that.
Not so lucky over here, San Francisco wise. Yankees took 3 from us, but in the game that we won, it looked like there was real promise there, Vinnie. Home runs from Jock Peterson, home runs from Brandon Crawford, big hits up the middle, doubles up the alley, good pitching. They tried to give it away in the 9th inning because our closer loaded the bases and also violated the shot clock. So we look weird at the end. Our closer can't figure out how many seconds are left. And they got a big clock, and it's ticking all over the stadium. And everybody in the stadium, Yankee Stadium is sold out to the rafters. Everybody can see that the pitch clock is counting down except one guy. You'll never guess who that one guy is. Yes, he pitches for the Giants, and he's on the mound at the moment, and he has no idea what a shot clock is. Boy.
What a maroon. I mean, really, what an absolute... I don't know, Mike. There's a piece of the shot clock, pitch clock, whatever you want to call it. They went 3-1. I knew that they got 3-1.
Good on you. That's a good start. It's still early, but that's a good start.
Early. I don't really count these games. Although, I think it's really weird that most of the National League and American League played each other the first weekend.
Yes.
I thought that I don't know how that sat with me. I mean, I've come to accept interleague play. I hate the designated hitter, but can't we start against National League teams? Or are we really at a point where it doesn't matter anymore? They're just teams. There's no more leagues.
The idea behind it, and I heard one person applaud it, was that everybody plays everybody in both leagues. And that the difference in baseball that used to be so dramatic and so obvious, you could look at if you were at a distance a few years ago, you could tell it was an American League team by what the umpires were wearing.
Right.
They had a different outfit. They had the chest protector that they would hold in front of them. Yeah. Right. And it was a different game. when you looked at an American League team playing on the weekends, you see in Cleveland and Kansas City play, you say, my God, the pace is different. The players look different. The pitchers attack the batter differently. The strategy is different.
The strike zone was different.
It's a different game. They made the ball at a different factory with a different signature on it. National League was a black, American League was blue back in the day. Anyway, it was a very different game, and so different that now the game is so much alike that you would say, what's the point of having two leagues?
Well, yeah, I mean, they really have made it. I guess you could say that they've made it like football in the sense that it's just, it's just teams. It's one league. It's Major League Baseball. It's no national, no American, and no difference between the two. I used to love, one of the great joys of moving to Pittsburgh is that I didn't get to see the designated hitter because you know how much I dislike the designated hitter.
A sensible man would live in a National League city.
Yeah, but hey, that's what that's what they want to do, and you either what do you do? What really can you do if you're a consumer of baseball? If you're somebody that loves baseball, you go along with it, right? And you hope for the best. Now, I don't know. I didn't particularly like interleague play when it started. I thought that it totally took away the meaning of the All-Star game because that was, people in different cities, that was the only time they got to see. But it worked out. It's okay. It was okay in its way. Now, we'll see what happens. I do know that the times, I guess, over the opening weekend, were down for games.
Yes.
I know the Mets did one of their games in like 2 hours and 15 minutes.
As long as they win, I don't care how long the game is. I'm not opposed to that. My problem is I have a team, Vinnie, that lost 2 out of 3 to the Yankees, and the two games they lost was 5-0 and 6-0. Now
they move slow when they're losing.
That's what I would call a bit of a trend. So when you guys lose, have you noticed that you don't score any runs? And could that contribute to the fact that you lost those 2 games, that you scored no runs? Yeah.
It's not it's going to take some getting used to this pitch clock and the pace of the game and everything. I mean, it's just going to, and they already had to change the rule because, of course, the smartest guy in baseball figured out how to beat it already. And that's Max Scherzer.
How do you beat
I guess there's something where when you come set, the pitch clock, I was reading it, and anyway, it has to
if you're set.
Yeah, it has to do with if you're set, they can't time you out. He figured out a way to do it, to step off the rubber and to do it. So Friday or opening day, Thursday, there was one rule. By Friday night, they had changed the rule.
And then, first of all,
the Scherzer rule.
Have you ever been in a building where somebody designed a stairway or a staircase or an elevator or access, and obviously they had no idea what it was going to be used for? People can't move into the building that I live in right now because it was designed to prevent anyone from bringing anything larger than a bread box into the building. You just can't do it. Trying to move a couch into this building is insane. That's because the person who designed everything had no regard whatsoever for how it was going to be used. Now, the guy who came up with the rule for baseball, same thing. Are you a pitcher? Do you know anything about pitching? No, never. I never played baseball. I'm more of a hockey guy. Yeah, well, what are you doing? I'm changing all the rules for baseball. It's the job I've got. And what are you going to do? We're going to put a clock in and stuff, and so you have to throw it faster. But have you ever considered what a pitcher might do? Never gave it a thought. No. What's a pitcher?
Yeah, it was well, and good on them. Good on Scherzer for figuring out how to circumvent it. And I'm glad baseball's back. The Mariners did not have a great weekend. I think they went 1-2 2, I think. I think it was 1 and
Yeah.
2 or 1 and 3. I forget. Um, no, people came out to the ballpark. That's for sure.
Well,
You
in
know.
Miami, there's a lot of Mets fans down Miami way. You were in
Oh
Miami,
yeah,
right? Were you on the road? Yeah.
yeah. You're in Miami. Yeah, it'll be. And now, the season kind of gets going. You start to see what you have, what you don't have, and if those, you always got to give them a week or two to get warmed up and get going. But you know, with the Mariners, Julio Rodriguez hit a home run, so they were happy. I mean, the Mariner fans are easily appeased. They are. Oh, they go to the ballpark. I mean, a long time ago when I first got here, somebody said to me, as long as the Mariners put on a good show, people will show up at the Kingdome until the weather gets nice. And then nobody wants to go inside on a beautiful day. And I think they were right. And I think the same stands true for Safeco. As long as you put on a good show, and you got Julio up there, and the place is getting excited, and he hits a home run, and he's the brightest young star in the game today. It all works out great. But the Mariners got to win games this year. They essentially have to do better than they did last year.
That reminds me of a George Carlin quote when he was referring to the Sonics as in the West, you've got to get better each and every year through trades, draft, acquisitions, or the evolution of a younger player. You must get better every year. There's no such thing as standing pat or being pretty close to what we were like last year. You know what that means? That means you're down 2 men. So that type of mindset is not easy to maintain. Some teams try to do it. Some teams in football have a better shot at it because it's a team sport with 11 guys instead of just 5, and the rule still applies whatever sport you're in. And the Giants' job was to get better in the offseason. They had goals that they were unable to achieve in terms of acquiring players because they said right up front, we're going to get Aaron Judge. We're going to give him whatever he wants plus more. Well, they didn't get Aaron Judge. They didn't give him a damn thing. They gave him a how do you do? They gave him a trip to San Francisco. He didn't even go to the stadium. It was a silly thing. It was like, we're going to get Elvis. Elvis is going to play on our team. He's going to be our lead singer. Did you talk to Elvis? We meant to, but he already signed with the Yankees. What are you going to do? And that level of embarrassment, I think, still is permeates the clubhouse. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to become a great team. We're going to do it in one off season, and we have the money to do it. But they didn't have the money to do anything else.
Well, that's what the Mets have done. And, many Mets fans like it. But is it going to ruin baseball?
You had something to show for your money, though. I mean, you're a competitive team, and you have reason to be more than just optimistic.
I don't know, Mikey. Is the team competitive that's in first place in August, and then over the final month of the season for 2 years in a row goes
no,
where they wind up being the wild card and losing in the first? I mean, yeah, they're competitive. They're fun to watch, but if you're in that class of teams, the object is always to get to the World Series, right? The Steelers, their object every year is to get to the well, I'd like to go to the World Series, but football teams usually don't go there. They want to get to the Super Bowl. Same thing with the Pen. I mean, in those sports cities where people are rapidly passionate about their teams, the goal is every year. It's funny that the Pirates. We'll talk about the Pirates for just 1 second. Their goal is to get to 500.
Yeah, that's a winning season.
That's their goal is to get to 500 and sell a lot of hot dogs doing it. And if they can do that, the owner of the team seems to be pretty damn happy. because he's making money. To him, it's a business. With Steve Cohen, the owner of the Mets, you have a guy who has more money than he knows what to do with. Um, New York City needs a hero because Donald Trump isn't. Matter of fact, he'll be there in just a little while, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But New York City needs a hero. There's no George Steinbrenner. There's no, Cohen. He made his money in junk bonds and all that kind of crap. But he made more money than he know what to do. So he goes out and buys the Mets. He spends the ridiculous money.
Just as long as you have pitching and real hitting, and I mean withering hitting. When the Mets come to the bat, there's no mercy from anybody. There's no way to stop the onslaught. It's a single, a double, a home run, and we're up. It's 3-0 before you know what hit you. That's what it's like playing the Yankees, and that's what it's like playing a team that's been put together with the financials. The first step is financial, but the second step is getting guys that are all 6'7" and monsters of the midway to go out there and hit the damn ball. And if they don't hit the ball, you know what happens to a Yankee who doesn't hit the ball?
He goes to Columbus or wherever. Where is the Yankee? I don't
Kansas
think
City.
It's in Columbus. Is it New Haven? Yeah, I think it's New Haven now, isn't it? The AAA team for the Yankees.
I don't know. Giants are still in Sacramento, the River Dogs.
Yeah. Okay, so just let me, before we jump into Trump here, let's see. The new so-called Scherzer rule, a point of emphasis, states that pitchers no longer may come set prior to the batter becoming alert in the box. Umpires are to award a penalty of an automatic ball if the pitcher violates after being warned or instructed to wait until the batter is alert for coming set. So in other words, you can't quick pitch anybody. Because what Scherzer was doing was coming set and then throwing the ball before the batter was even ready to go. And under the old rule, perfectly legal. You want me to? You want to make the game go fast? Boom, boom, boom.
Hey, the quick pitch is a great weapon, and I think more pitchers should use it, especially guys that have the fastball and the speed to do it. So it's not only a quick pitch; it's a quick pitch. And when you get quick pitched at 98 miles an hour, believe me, that ball gets there before you're ready. If your bat's not up and ready for action, you're in trouble in facing Scherzer or anybody like that. Especially if they're willing, and I don't know why more players aren't willing to quick pitch, to change their windup, to change their delivery, to change the timing, to change all the things that batters rely on to make sure that they are seeing that ball and have an opportunity to make a sensible judgment on it.
Well, why do we have to have a rule that says that you can't do a shift? Why don't hitters learn how to hit opposite of the shift?
Why don't hitters learn how to hit? What does a hitting coach do? In fact, you probably know this. Have you ever made friends with a hitting coach and actually found out what do they do?
Well, I think for some guys, it's helped them. That nowadays they look at tape with a batter, and they try to look at obvious flaws in the way he holds the bat, in the way he brings his hips around. There's a million things. In the old days, I don't know, the hitting coach did much more than drink with the manager.
Yeah, I know. They were buddies.
We've seen. I remember when Paul Molitor was one of the best hitters ever to hit a baseball, not a home run hitter, but a guy who could put the ball in play, was the hitting coach. And, I'd watch him in spring training and I'd kind of look and go, well, and, and he'd be there, telling somebody, do this, and they'd yell, yeah. And they'd hit the ball a couple of times in the cage. And they'd go out to the field for a game and go back to doing the same thing. They'd always say in a post-game interview, well, the hitting coach told me to make an adjustment. They chat up the hitting coach so he doesn't lose his job. But in reality, the hitting coach at a minor league level, it's probably a lot different. They're looking for serious flaws that are either can keep people out of the league or not. They don't have hitting coaches as much as they have hitting instructors.
Yeah.
And that's a whole different thing because now you're spending 2 hours a day with your top prospect, preparing them for what they're going to see in the major leagues. You see, I always believed, and I've never been at that in the major leagues, although I have faced, you know, major league type pitching. And I give a lot of credit to people that can step in the box and remember all the things they have to do to hit a baseball. It's not just swing the bat. I mean, you got to be looking for where the ball is coming. You got to know it's a whole different, and you have to remember all of this stuff in sequence and keep yourself safe.
The funny thing is, I think it can be taught. I think getting better at hitting in baseball can be taught. But the end result is, I wonder at what they're trying to do, because the guy who's your shortstop, who's always hit 214, hits 220 this year, and no one ever takes him aside and said, "No, look, you're a great player. You've made it to the show. Why can't you hit? Why can't you hit for average? Why can't you hit for production? Why? What is it between you and the ball and the bat that's not working out? We've got to change it. You're hitting 220. You can't survive at 220. Understand that I'm trying to save your career. If you don't turn it around, if you don't figure it out to be hitting 260, and 260 is now your goal. Don't talk to me till you get to 260.
You know what it is, Mikey? Approach. It's the approach. How do you approach the plate?
Hello, ball. Ted Williams used to was unbeatable because he was never going to swing at a bad pitch. Barry Bonds, I'm sorry, never would swing at a bad pitch. You couldn't put it at his knees or down at the ankles and fool him. Both those guys
had a special sense.
Yeah,
they had a special sense of where the ball. They could see the ball differently.
Yes,
it's funny you mentioned that. My nephew's birthday was last week, and he's in Sacramento. He's a ball player. He's baseball and basketball, and I got him Ted Williams' Art of Hitting. Because he's good. I mean, he's a good player who could probably, if he puts his mind to it, get himself a scholarship to a school and pay for his college education.
I'm glad to hear that.
Which would be beautiful for his parents, I think. I'm sure they would. I'm sure that they would be happy that if he went out there and But I got him that book, so it's going to be interesting to see if he reads it, which I know he will, because he's a really smart young man, and if it'll change the way he approaches his hitting, because he hits the ball well. He knows how to look at pitches. He hits the ball well. He has great baseball instinct. I've gone down and watched him play a few times, and more than a few times, a bunch of times. And he pitches. He plays the outfield.
Good job.
And I think he has potential. Now, I'm the doting uncle, though. I'm in Godfather. So, but I think when he's ready and he's getting close to being ready. I mean, they 16 years old. He goes, that's when the scouts start looking at you.
That's
and
when
he's
you
on
start
varsity baseball.
You start playing with the club teams and go to the right high school.
He's doing all of that. He's going to different tournaments and stuff like that. So and he has a love for the game that he really enjoys the game. He enjoys and he's very mentally aware of the game between the pitcher and the batter. He gets it. He gets what it's all about, that the batter is not just going to throw it down the pipe to him. That even at 16 years old, the batter's going to move the ball around on him and try to throw it where he thinks he's not going to hit it. And that the coaches is there and they got a scouting, California, they got scouts that go out and look at the games ahead of the time so they know what batters tend to do. because
Well,
it's a
my
big deal.
father always said that he played semi-pro. His father played professional baseball. Said that it was a situation where the batter had all the downside. Pitcher had his defense to help him. He knew what pitch he was going to throw. He had the catcher helping devise a plan for it. He had his own distinct talent and the ability to change the delivery as best he could to hide it. And the batter had the disadvantage because a success would be 1 out of 3, right?
Right.
Batting 300 is considered quite a success rate. Well, the fact is, you have to beat the odds to be a great batter. You have to take this little ball that's moving, particularly so you can't hit it, and put it someplace where there's no one to catch it. And it's a wonderful game for that reason, but it's also you see why the numbers are in your favor if you can do it 1 out of 3 times.
Right. It's a pretty amazing. When you think about it, the game is it sets you up to fail.
Yeah.
And what
if you
what
you got to forget it.
right, and that's why I always have liked baseball more because it sets you up to fail, but yet you develop if you're a right person, a smart person, you develop a sense of how to get out of that or how to accept failure and get better.
Yeah.
Because everybody's going to fail at things. We're not all going to win every time we go to the office, every time we get in the car, every time we try to merge, in traffic. You're not going to win every time. Sometimes you're going to lose. Sometimes you're not going to be able to do things that you want to do.
That's why it kills
And
me that some teams don't take advantage of the men on base. It kills me when you leave an opportunity out there and don't capitalize on it. Now, the Mets
well,
have played 4 games and won 3. That tells me, without ever looking at the scorecard, that the New York Mets got up, hit the damn ball, and when you hit the ball, they caught it most of the time. And that's your takeaway from that one. 3 out of 4 games played out over a season is a championship team. And the Giants showed you just the opposite. 1 out of 3 over a season is a 500 club, maybe, after a winning streak at
Mikey,
the end of the season.
I'll still go with it's early. Let's see what happens. Let's see how it shakes out. I always think that that's something that we need to, you can't make judgments on any team the first week of the season except the Pirates. Uh, the Pirates, unfortunately, although the Pirates, I haven't followed them like I usually do, but the Pirates seem to have an
Young
interesting
talent.
team this year. Young
Yeah.
talent. A lot of they got a guy O'Neill Cruz. I think it's O'Neill Cruz who can hit the ball, and they could be one of those teams. I think, and I hope because I love the Pirates. I really grew to love that team while I was there, and the people that worked at that team. I hope they make some noise because if there's one damn city that deserves to go to the World Series, well, actually, there's 2 cities that deserve to go: Seattle and Pittsburgh. Uh, the people in Pittsburgh are so freaking loyal to the Pirates that it blows you away something. Now, they'll complain about them. They'll tell you that they're not going to watch the games. They'll tell you they're not going to go to the games. But you know what? They still draw 1 million plus each year. They play in the most beautiful ballpark in America. And
Wow.
and they and every once in a while you catch a little lightning in a bottle. Their owner is not going to spring for big money, or what anybody would consider to be big money these days. So you're not going to, at the trade deadline, your general manager has to figure it out through the draft and through developing players and then trading the players off that he developed to get other players who other teams don't think can do well. But yet you, as a judge of talent, think that they can do well. And that's the only way they're going
The
to get
Gi-
there.
the Giants are similar to that in one way, and they are trying through happenstance to acquire a championship team, just grabbing people off the wire who's ever available, right-handed pitching, left-handed pitching. Right now, we're really scrambling for a catcher because Joey Bart's hurt. He
Yeah,
hasn't
I saw
shown
that.
the type. He hasn't shown the type of advancement that they expected of him. They wanted him to be. They wanted him to be a Buster Posey, and he's not going to be one of those guys. And for whatever reason, he's a bit of a head case when it comes to his attitude toward hitting. I think he's got the yips on that one. And he's trying to follow Yogi Berra. He's trying to be the next Yogi Berra without being Yogi Berra. You can't do that. You have to find your own game. You have to find your own offensive comfort zone. And
Why can't he be the next Ed Ott?
Why not? Of course he can. He
Yeah,
can be the next
what's wrong with Ed Ott?
Burgess.
How about the next Bob Melvin?
There you go.
Be the next Bob Melvin, man. You don't have to be Yogi. You're not going to be Yogi Berra. You're probably not going to be Yogi Berra. I'm thinking that be the next Dan Wilson. I mean, you want to be a catcher. You're
good catcher.
Good catcher, man. One of the best catchers I've ever seen in my life. He knows how to run. He knew how to run a pitching staff. He knew the batters. Every once in a while, he got some pop in his bat at the right time, came up with some clutch hits at times, and was humble about it all.
He was a humble player. I liked him.
He was a humble player. He was a great player. I love the guy.
And I always pay attention to catchers because in Little League, I was one of the smallest guys on the team, but I was the catcher, and I really enjoyed the position, even though you did have to roll the tools of ignorance. That's fine.
No, I loved being when I caught. I loved it. I thought it was, the coolest thing in the world because you watch the game.
You are vital to every pitch. There's nothing that can happen without you being involved.
Right. You watch the game. You get to see the game. Right. Everybody's looking in at you, and you're looking out at everybody. So you're shading hitters. You're fielders. You're moving people around. You are the quarterback of the team. And to be the quarterback of a team, people on the team have to trust you.
And you know where the ball is. Tell me a catcher who doesn't know exactly where the ball is. Where's the ball, Yogi? It's right there.
You got to know where it is all the time.
You better know where that damn ball is.
And when you look back at some of the great catchers, I mean, Pudge Rodriguez, Elston Howard, Jerry Grody, who was a great catcher. I mean, you think of the pitching staff that Jerry Grody handled in
Wes
1
Westrum,
year.
Johnny Bench.
Wes Westrum, another great, and that's why catchers usually wind up becoming managers because they see the game in a different perspective.
They understand the job of the pitcher better than just about anybody except a pitcher, and even better than some pitchers.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and they have that ability to calm people down. To walk out to them out when a guy, they can feel when a guy's out of rhythm, when a guy's, when somebody's not throwing the ball right, they can see when his grip on the ball, if it's run. So they're the protector of the plate. They're the guy that's going to stop a team from scoring a run in many, many cases. They're a pitching coach. They have to have the smarts to know what to call, when to call it against hitters. They have to be able to direct the fielders.
Yep.
And they also have to deal with the guy behind them.
Very important job. Very important job. You got to be pals with the ump.
You cannot eat beans game day.
No. No, you don't want to, because Jocko Conlon Jr. will take his revenge. He will
stay away from.
Yesterday, my dear friend, that would have been a strike, but because you had to have that for lunch, that's ball 2.
You thought it was a great idea to go to Eduardo's Mexican last night, huh? Well, here you go, pal. Uh, you know, I've always wondered about that. you know, my mind works. I always wondered. I
And
mean, are there
how many
guys?
how many how many times have you seen a second baseman stop a game by walking to the mound? It happens, but not that often. With a catcher, you expect it of them. Catcher stands up. He said, "He's going to the mound. He's going to stop. He's going to shut
Yeah,
this down. He's going to buy us some time. He's going to give this guy a minute to get it off his best because he's paying attention to the guy at first base, and the man's going to steal home from third. Wake up out there."
you got to stay awake. I hope with one thing I do hope that happens is with these new enlarged bases that it brings in it gets people stealing again.
Yeah,
And especially my absolute favorite play in baseball, a suicide squeeze.
yeah.
If I could, if I could see the suicide squeeze 2 or 3 times a week, I'll give you the DH. You can have the DH. Give me that play where everybody in the park knows that this guy is going, and there's just nothing you can do about it. You got to throw the ball to the plate.
In the game that I saw Saturday between the Yankees and the Giants, that the Giants won, there was two stolen bases, one by each team, and they stole the base. They got away with it. There was plays at the bag that probably were decided because the bag is larger now than it used to be at first base. There was a bunt for a single, and it advanced two runners into scoring position. And there was a full swing nibber that went bleep, bleep, bloop and landed in the magic spot right over there. The catcher couldn't get to it. The pitcher couldn't get to it. The third baseman couldn't get to it. It just sat right in front of everybody. Everybody's safe, and the bases are loaded. I love those plays. They're so much fun. And it's basically because this huge swing that was supposed to send it 470 feet to left field, it goes bleep, 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 and dies. It's just the ball has no inertia. It doesn't roll toward third. It just goes boom, die.
I want to see, and I know, I'm sure you're like this too. I really one more play that I want to see come back is the drag bunt.
Yeah.
Nobody drag bunts anymore. Nobody drag bunts.
Ichiro was the
Which
last
is
one.
who?
Was Ichiro the last guy to do it? Japanese style?
Ichiro, and then before that, used to do it great was Brett Butler.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah, Brett Butler could bunt it over to third or bunt it up the line, drop the ball would be dead, and he'd be scurrying up the line. But
He'd be gone.
Ichiro did it too. Give me a guy doesn't have to hit. You don't have to hit the ball 400 feet.
Plus, if you're in a tight game and there are runners ready to be moving to scoring position, and this guy is known for the drag bunt and will do the drag bunt under any conditions, doesn't matter where you throw it, how you throw it, or who you are. That is the mind game that you're playing. Even if you don't bunt, if you swing away,
Right.
they still have to play for it. They still have to
They got
allow
to bring
for it.
the infield in. They got to, and then if you're a great hitter, if you're a not even a Ted. Well, we wouldn't even go with Ted Williams because those and Tony Gwynn, those guys are fantastic. If you're an adequate hitter and you have the arsenal to be able to hit a ball to shortstop, if you are dragging getting the infielders in like that, and you can swing and put that ball over one of the fielders' heads, you're scoring 2 runs.
Yes.
Because either the shortstop or the second baseman has to turn around and run after the ball, or the outfielder has to come in and grab the ball. And once you do that, once you put those guys in motion, you open up the possibility of throwing errors more and more because they're looking to get the ball to a base as quickly as possible. And you force guys to commit errors. And for the life of me, I just don't understand why we don't see that. Why we just don't see guys use those great tools that were so, when we were kids, Mikey, I mean, both of us, you're a little older than me, but I mean, there were guys that was their specialty.
Yeah.
That's what they did.
And Billy, that type of baseball, which I call Billy ball, because that was the nickname that the Oakland A's had when they would steal, bunt, and cheat their way to get a run. The interesting thing about it is it is an aggressive, combative form of baseball. We're going to take this run and we're not going to do anything for it. You're just going to keep making mistakes. We're going to play fast and we're stealing on this next pitch. I'm telling you that right now. We're stealing second. And what are you going to do about it? They come right. It's a very much an in-your-face baseball technique, and I love it like that. When you think of it as a Billy Martin offensive baseball, where every inch can be scrapped for, that's the way that game can be played. Now, I love the home run. I love the big ball. I love the big swings. I love the big bat. But you've got to be able to play more than that. I can tell you that Willie Mays knew how to bunt. He was an excellent bunter. Willie Mays knew how to steal. He was an excellent base stealer. Willie Mays had all the tricks of the trade that came with being naturally fast and quick and a beautiful jeer on the field.
Jose Canseco. Look at the size of Jose Canseco, and yet he was he baseball's first 30-30 player?
He was fast.
He was fast, man. That guy. I mean, when he was in his prime with the A's, he was a rapid. I mean, for a big guy, not even for a big guy, for just any human being. The
anybody,
guy was unbelievable. I mean, he's kind of he became the butt of many jokes, but to see him in his prime, to go out to Oakland Coliseum and watch him and Mark McGwire. Mark McGwire was not bad. Canseco was a complete. Well, I wouldn't say a complete player because his defense was questionable at times.
He could get to the ball. It just didn't know
he could get to the ball. Yeah, he could get to the ball. I mean, he covered that outfield very well. Yep. And a big part of why that team was so successful, and he could hit the ball. And he was a matinee.
He was a matinee idol. Yeah, he was there.
And he was extremely fast for the size he was. Now I don't know if the steroids eventually slowed him down or what that effect had on him. I know it helped him hit the ball further, but he's one of those guys that I look at and say, you probably didn't need the steroids. You probably just could have, you had this God-given ability to run fast, to have a big body and run fast.
I think the steroids had only one advantage, and this was arguable among medical people, and that is that it could help you heal faster, but it can't make you stronger in and of the injection itself. You still got to do the work. You got to do the workout. You got to be on the weights all the time if you want to build the muscle. And Jose didn't need it. McGwire didn't need it. These guys were huge when they were born. You remember Mark McGwire's brother played quarterback for the Seahawks for a bit. He was another giant man. He was a huge guy. He was one of the largest quarterbacks ever in the league, and refused to even consider playing any other position because they thought, well, he's so big. Well, how about tight end? Nope. He wouldn't even entertain the idea, which limited his appeal because he didn't have a lot of mobility. So he had to use his height. And I think he took ballet lessons.
Yeah, he did. I was just going to say that he took ballet lessons to try to learn how to move better because he was. I mean, I remember when I came up here, he was the quarterback, and it was it was not pretty.
It should have been more successful than that. They should have had an offense designed around his size and his gifts. If he's going to be your quarterback, you can't just expect him to roll out like Fran Tarkenton. Nor would you expect Fran Tarkenton to stand in the backfield and shake off a couple linebackers because he's 6'8". That don't ask something of an athlete that they can't provide. I think he should have had a better chance.
Yeah, I think he should have had a better career too. But again, the Seahawks always looked at things in those days very, very myopically. To say the least.
All my Seahawks.
They had a way
You
of
remember
looking at things that was.
what was Greg Meyer was in the kitchen with his mother or his auntie, and all you hear is the breaking of the crockery. Eat your breakfast here. Ooh, don't break another glass.
Oh my God,
Well,
those. Yeah, that was pretty fun. That was some of the best stuff we ever did. That All My Seahawks. I mean, I remember even Gary Wright telling me that he used to laugh at it. He wasn't happy about it, but he used to laugh at it. But it was such a
we
joke
kept him in the
back
headline.
then.
Yeah, it was. It was.
It was such a joke.
And
I
people
mean,
were longing for the days of Chuck Knox. They were longing for the days. Oh God, bring back Chuck Knox. Get him out of retirement. Bring him in here.
Bring in anybody, and they did. They brought in Tom Flores, who was well past being interested in the game.
Yeah, it's true. He
I mean,
had a very casual approach to what do you got planned for the game? Oh, let's see. Yeah, we'll take a look at the other guys. Who are we playing today? It's the Packers. Packers. I heard of them.
Yeah, it was amazing how it all changed when they brought Dennis Erickson in. You know, it was amazing how the team, just the whole vibe around the team changed, and how Erickson got them from being sleepy and kind of to to the point where Holmgren came in and got them to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Dennis Erickson, a lot of people forget, was the right guy for the job at the right time. I mean, you've had a succession of coaches, except for a blip there for 1 year, that was, just always brought that team to the next level. And listen, I'm not a big Pete Carroll fan, or I wasn't. I've come to like him now much more than I used to. Because I
love Pete. I've been loving Pete since he started something at USC when he was coaching here.
Well, and yeah, but he left my Jets in the lurch, so it was tough for me to like him.
He got fired. What are you going to do? Yeah. He got fired. He's not the last coach to get fired of that tried his hand at the Jets. It wasn't that the deck was stacked against him. It's just that there was a history of non-competitive.
The deck was stacked against him, Mikey. Anybody who coaches the Jets, the deck is stacked against them. It is just, it's just, you enjoy them and what they can do for the final, for the first 17 games of the season. And then when the playoffs come around, most years you get to pick another team.
Yeah. I'm going with my backup team, Kansas City.
Yeah. It allowed me, the Jets basically is what allowed me to be a 49er fan for so long. Because
at
the end of the season, at the end of the season, you could just go and pick another team, and I always picked the 49ers. It was amazing. Me and my brother had 40. We used to wear 49er jackets when we lived in New York. At the play,
Aaron Rodgers going to be your quarterback? Time. You think Aaron Rodgers was going to be your quarterback? He's going to make a deal.
Yeah, I think they'll throw a ton of money at him. Yeah, I think they'll throw a crap load of money at him, and maybe he'll go there and win 10 games. But
that would be quite a change.
I got a funny feeling that, and I don't know him personally or anything, Mikey, but it's one of those things where you have the feeling where if he goes to New York, it's going to be a whole different ball game for him.
It better be.
Because the media pressure there, he's not going to be able to. People aren't going to, he'll play on Staten Island, but he's not going to play well in Manhattan.
The funny thing about what you're saying is he's had this relationship with the press where he deals in half truths and mysterious comments and does all his real talking on Biff Jiggerman's hate talk radio show or whatever it is.
Right.
And that's not going to work in New York either. He will be hounded to a fare thee well. Now, if I were a quarterback of the New York Jets and I had anything on my side, I would make friends with the press. I would be their quote man. I would take any questions that they wanted. Win or lose, I'd give them whatever they wanted after the game. And they could come to dinner with me as you buy dinner for the offensive line for losing another game. Because if you don't have the press on your side in New York, or you create a situation where they have to work harder to get the basics, you're going to be in some hot waters, and it won't take long. More than a little bit, more than somewhat. You have bought yourself a set of problems that you could have avoided by being available.
Yeah, you really could. You could. You could really have you get on the wrong side of a couple of people, and although it's not like it used to be, it certainly is still possible to get on the wrong side of people, and it can
Yeah.
make your life miserable. And I mean, you could be the greatest player of all time. You could be Tom Seaver, and they'll run you out of town if you get
Yes,
on the
they
wrong
will.
side of the press. And we've seen that act before. Now, I don't think it's as bad, or maybe it's worse now. I don't know, because you have a million bloggers, and you have a million people on YouTube, and you have people. It used to be that you had 3 or 4 or 5 places where you get your news.
Yeah.
Howard Cosell, speaking of sports, you had the 3 newspapers, and maybe you had a Sunday night sports show.
Did any of the
Now,
news stations have a dedicated sportsman?
oh yeah, they all
WCBS,
did.
WINS? Yeah, right.
Yeah, oh yeah, they all had. Yeah, who was it? Was it Win Elliott who used to do sports on WINS? I don't know.
Sure
That
sounds
that name
familiar.
rings a bell. That name rings a bell. Win Elliott with sports on WINS, and then and that was the only all news station. But NBC had a dedicated sports guy, and WABC used Howard Cosell.
Yeah, every day.
And speaking of sports,
Speaking of sports,
every day at, I don't know, 6 o'clock, something like that.
or however he said it, speaking of sports.
Speaking of sports, this is Howard Cosell. And Muhammad Ali has been wrongly accused by the United States government.
I miss Howard. I miss Howard.
Do you know that his grandson is the announcer for the Mets?
Really?
Yep.
That's wonderful. I had no idea. What's his name?
Grandson, Colin Cosell is he's the announcer for the Mets. We're friends on Facebook, and
I had no idea.
We go back and forth every once in a while, and he follows me, I follow him. As a matter of fact, excuse me, he just had his first child last week. I think
another Cosell.
Excuse me. I think it might have been on opening day.
Hey.
Or very close to that. And so congratulations to Colin Cosell and his lovely wife and their new little baby and everybody who is involved there. But yeah, he's a good guy. He's been doing sports either behind the scenes. He was doing a lot of stuff with the NFL, and then he went for this job as the announcer at Citi Field. So some things will never change, Mikey.
Some things
will never change.
Do not need to change.
Some things are never going to change.
Well, now, I'm glad that we've made it to this far where we can sign off after a respectable show without mentioning the 44th president of the United States.
But I did put it in the notes in the post that we would talk about his route down to the criminal courts building from Trump Tower.
LaGuardia. Yeah.
Well, no, LaGuardia, he's gonna get off the plane. They're gonna go over to Grand Central Parkway, down the FDR Drive, get off at probably 50. What is that exit there? 57th? No, it's not 57th. 57 goes on to 55th, I think it is, and then just go up 55th or whatever it is to Trump Tower. It'll pass Rusty Staub's old restaurant. Is right around the block.
Orange.
I think they'll pass Smith and Walensky Steakhouse on the corner of 3rd Avenue.
Some things do not change.
And they'll also pass probably they'll probably go 55th, I think, but they might go 53rd, and we all know about 53rd and 3rd. Lou Reed, he made
that clear.
The Ramones, made it clear with that, and I'm going to tell you that corner probably hasn't changed in many years. So they may stop there for Donald, maybe not. And then they'll pull up in front of Trump Tower. He'll go in. He'll probably say something to the crowd, and there'll probably be a bunch of food vendors across the street, selling everything from halal meats to hot dogs that have been in water that's been there since Trump had real hair.
Can an accused criminal get a cheeseburger over here?
What a zoo it's going to be, man. I was disappointed in Trump this morning, I got to tell you, because I expected him, if he had any sense of comic timing at all, he would have come out of the gates of Mar-a-Lago in a white Bronco.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Not saying, I'm just saying. If he had any panache at all, he would have come out in a white Bronco and, and headed on to the airport.
I think it took for one day, but it's because his lawyers had a talk with him and said, "Now, when we discuss this, you don't act like you're the client and we're the lawyers. You act like we're the client and you're the lawyer, and that's not going to work. So here's what you have to say to the press from now on."
That ain't gonna happen, though. You know what?
And today, so far, he hasn't said anything. I don't know if he's landed in New York and made any comments or not.
No, I don't think they. No, because we now have 24/7 coverage.
Oh yeah, we're gonna follow his Donnie from Queens. Is gonna be in the spotlight until they shoot him down.
Yeah. No, it's. We're gonna see everything. I mean, CNN's going live from in front of the criminal courts building, as I'm sure everybody else is.
I'm
sure it's nothing but a zoo out there. And then tomorrow, Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to show up and have her rally outside the courthouse as she tries to position herself to be his vice presidential candidate.
Is it too cold in Manhattan for bikinis? Because she said she was going to wear a bikini.
Does America need to see that?
Yes.
No, I'm sorry.
Yes.
America does not need to see her in a bikini. Now, you tell me that. Well, Kirsten Sinema isn't stupid enough to go there. I mean,
No,
let's respect Kirsten here. She is not dumb enough to go to the criminal courts building there and
and wear
rally
her Holstein
for
costume. She should wear her Holstein costume, or the what when she did the State of the Union speech. She's dressed up like a California poppy. She's just it was all yellow all the time.
I'm totally down for that, man. She's a fashion statement. I love it. I love a woman who knows how to dress, man.
It's been a while now, but Vinnie, and I thought Vinnie would shake his affection. He's smitten with Senator Kirsten Sinema of Arizona and can't get past it. She's going to ruin him. She wants to break your heart, Vinnie. She wants to hurt you.
I'm surprisingly stuck with it for a while, haven't I? Yeah, I mean, she's got a little something. You know what? It's style. She's got style. It may not be everybody's cup of tea what she has, but she's got style. And I think in her heart, she's kind of a lefty. She tries to play the middle because of where she is. But if she got up and moved to New York, she'd be Hillary Clinton. Maybe not as smart as Hillary Clinton. I don't know. I don't know,
If she,
Mikey.
if she moves to New York, there's no way she can wear the Holstein costume on Park Avenue. Okay, we got to get that straight. Someone's got to start
the
dressing
Easter
her.
parade, Pally. The Easter parade next
We got
Sunday.
to, if you want her to change, dress her for success. Put her in a suit, and she's going to look smashing over here.
No, she would move to New York and become the senator in New York, and she would have designers and people chomping. She would be buying that off the rack crap at Nordstrom's rack. You know, she'd be hip, hot, and happening, man.
She shops at the weird shop next to the Golf Pro shop there in Scottsdale. That's as far
She's
downtown as you're going to get.
Lady. She's a Dillard's lady. Yeah, but listen, everybody's got to have a crush on somebody, and mine happens to be on Kristen.
It's a good story. Don't ever change. Don't ever change.
No, until somebody else comes. Hey, listen, at least it isn't Lauren Boebert. I mean, good God.
But she asked about you. She wanted to know where you were, and did I have your digits?
Don't give her my phone number. Don't tell her where I am.
I said that we were both hospitalized. These are old shows that we did before we took ill.
Right. We're both in the home. We're hanging out with Lucky Vinnie.
Yeah, and Lucky hogs that damn payphone in the lobby. I'm telling you, he's a hog on that thing. He won't. Once he gets on it, he won't get off.
He won't get off. That's his home, man. Lucky is there to stay. All right, Pally. Well, we got Trump in Wednesday morning. We will catch up and with everybody.
Wednesday morning, we'll know what he's accused of. We'll have.
Well, I don't know. See, but they're not gonna. Well, we'll know the charges. I don't know yet that they're going to unseal the indictment. If they're going to make
it possibility they won't. But what about discovery? Will we share in that or not?
I'm not sure. I'm obviously not a lawyer.
My mother thought that I should have been. She said, "You will argue with anybody," and I thought,
I think you'd have made a great lawyer.
I don't know if that's the case. Okay.
See, I would have been a PI lawyer. If I was going to be a lawyer, I'd be a PI. I'd be an ambulance chaser. I'd be out. I'd be Joe Tacopino, man. That's what I'd be. I'd be showing up at the hospital. Here's my card if you need anything.
I would follow my career after Horace Rumpole of the Bailey. Horace Rumpole is a British barrister who absolutely drove judges crazy. Yes, my lord. Yes, your honor. Yes, and then he'd mutter something under his breath. But he said that being a litigator under British law required a man to stand on his hind legs in court.
I would have my career would have been, there was a guy in the 70s in New York, Norman Teitler, and Norman owned a law practice, a PI law practice, personal injury. He owned a clinic, and he owned an auto body shop.
Holy moly, coming and going. He had the market sealed.
He soup to nuts, man. From the moment of impact to the payoff, Norman was with you. And Norman was getting 30% of it all.
Norman, I'm here to pick up my car, and you can pick up your car, but we have the little matter of the retainer for the job that we did in court for you, and we'll hold on to the car until you can pay that.
The name of his shop was Carnewville Collision.
God, what a guy! I love this guy.
Oh no, he had his bases covered, man. This guy had it going on. I don't know what the hell ever happened to him. But, I mean, he's probably dead now. He was an older guy back then. But, boy, I'm going to tell you, man, this guy had his bases. He had it all covered.
Does he have seats next to Jimmy Hoffa for the Giants games?
Probably. He just had that low end of the insurance. Now, I don't think it's legal to do that anymore. Matter of fact, I don't even think it was legal then. But he had the clinic, he had the doctors, he had the auto body shop, and he had the law office, and he just ran you through, man. And you just souped the nuts, man. You were,
You
you
were
were
covered.
really,
What was his name?
you were covered. Norman Teitler.
Norman
I'll have to
Tightler.
ask a couple of my old tow truck friends
Mr. Tightler,
if he's.
the court sees that you've done very well for yourself, despite the fact that it's illegal. But I'll tell you one thing: you're charming. So go with the light. Go on, get out of here.
I had a lot of respect for Norman Teitler because he knew how to cover the bases.
Yeah.
He knew, it was a guy who figured it out. If you do this, this, and this, that you'd be okay. And Norman
Once a
made
lawyer told me the most important thing you can say is "Good morning, Your Honor," and mean it. Don't say hello. Don't say how are you. Don't say Your Honor. Say good morning, Your Honor. That's how you start the day. Don't forget
right.
it. Never forget that.
Well, because that's a man or woman who has the power to make your morning very good.
You got to play to the power. You got to show them you know what you're doing and play to the power.
Show them a little respect. Hey, one more thing before we get out of here. It was a great interview this weekend with John Fetterman. I don't know if you saw it on CBS Sunday morning.
I saw just some of it. I didn't see enough of it.
Yeah, and I'm wearing my Fetterman shirt today. I got no skin in the game except for the fact that I understand what going through depression is. I've had it for so long, and I'm just happy that he's on the road to recovery, or as recovered as you're going to get. And I so root for this guy because the Oz campaign was so just disrespectful and just mean to him.
Yeah.
And anybody who has depression, I don't know that he can function as a senator or not, but he damn well should get the chance to do it. And if he can't do the job, well, then when he can't do the job, then then you think about it. But
he's earned the chance. It was a tough race, but he earned it.
Right. But until he proves that he can't do the job, until that time, shut your freaking mouth.
Did he intimate
get behind the guy?
In his interview, did he say he didn't know if he could continue?
Oh no, he says he's ready to go. He
Good.
says, I'm ready to give the people of Pennsylvania the representation that they deserve. And let me tell you something. He could be depressed. He could be depressed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and he'd probably represent the people of Pennsylvania better than half of the senators at least represent their states in Congress. So,
it's interesting that you say that, because what I was thinking is, how come the pressure of being a senator doesn't get to more of them? And that's because they don't live in a world with pressure. They live in a world of unintended consequences and strange happenstance and loyalty to a criminal. And they live in a world that has nothing to do with representing their people. They're just trying to get reelected and stay out of trouble or stay out of jail.
I think, Michael, that many of them do crack under the pressure. They just don't make it public. Many of them do probably go to therapy and do probably have problems, but they just don't make it public. They don't have, there's still a stigma around mental illness. It's one of the things that I saw, and I had forgotten this. I mean, I remember Thomas Eagleton, and he was the vice presidential candidate, and was it 76, and was it 76 or 72? I forget now. But had to drop out because the news came out that he had electroshock. He was suffering from depression. But the people of Missouri reelected him to the Senate 2 more terms, 12 more years after that. And that showed me a little something about the people of Missouri. That they didn't just toss him on the scrap heap because he suffered from depression. And we need more people like that when people encounter these problems, they're not thrown away on the scrap heap. That they're get the help they need and are able to come back to being functioning members of society.
And Fetterman's being represents being a different section of society that usually doesn't get to be a senator, that doesn't become a senator. And I think that should be encouraged so that more people like Fetterman take the opportunity to run for office.
Right, exactly. We need more John Fettermans in this world. Well, in politics, we need more people that know what's going on the street, and that's one of the reasons that I like him so much. Is that when I was in Pennsylvania and he was mayor of Braddock and then lieutenant governor, he had a sense of what was going on in the street. He knew what it was like to hear gunfire at night. He knew what it was like to, to go to the supermarket, to go to the laundromat, to raise kids in a pretty bad neighborhood. Fetterman didn't get didn't hit it with a golden spoon, man. He earned what he had, and did it. Luckily got married to a very smart woman, who I'm sure helped him. I know helps him along immensely.
Yes.
But we need more. We need more people like that. We need more people that understand what the people that are getting Social Security go through, what people that are getting, different government programs and different, or even just working people that are working for just above or minimum wage, and how tough it is to make ends meet on things like minimum wage.
Anyway, I'm glad that he did the interview, and I'm glad that he's in recovery.
Yeah, I'm very happy. I'm very very ecstatic that he's recovering, and I look forward to supporting him and to into a good term in the Senate for him, where he helps the people of Pennsylvania. Maybe starts to be
and
one of the things.
Watch out from above, Senator, because we have atmospheric rivers running all over this place with tornadoes in the south and rain. And Vinny's got snow. I've got rain. The strange winter continues.
And New York City has the least snow
this
winter that it ever had. Go figure.
Used to be we would get snow sometime after New Year's Day. It was like January was the snow month when I lived in Manhattan. And but strangely enough, there wasn't a lot of snow. I mean, we would get blizzards, but those were when I lived there in the late 70s, few and far between. But now
you get one big one every year, probably. And there's no place like New York after it snows. I mean, it's just this beautiful white, angelic look. It looks like heaven.
Till you step across the gutter at West 72nd Street trying to get to the subway. There is a lake called Lake Manhattan. There's no, you can try, you can't. You can get that frozen water in your boot.
Oh yeah, I used to love going out in the snow, man. When just after it snowed, getting up early in the morning and just driving around and just looking at everything under this peaceful white blanket, and it was gorgeous. I remember one year, I walked to there was no buses, no nothing. I couldn't drive yet. I probably was about 14 or something like that. And I walked from my house along down on the connecting highway, because there was no cars going through. That's how deep the snow was, to my father's gas station, to help him shovel snow. And it was one of the good, because it was and I got the water inside my boots and this and that and the other thing, but it was
it's pretty hard to shut down New York, but Mother Nature can do it.
Mother Nature's the most powerful thing we got, man. And she, as those poor people in the Midwest and the South are learning right now, she doesn't play favorites, man. She's an equal opportunity ruiner of lives.
And although we think she plays, actually she's not playing at all. It's all business. Look out, here
I come.
It's all
business with her. Yep, look out, here I come. And you'll remember me when I'm gone.
She only has a sense of humor when she's playing gin rummy with Jack Frost. And he loses every time. You can hear them out in the lake, and she says, gin.
Oh man, Mikey. All right, man. Let's wrap this one up. I will catch up with you Wednesday morning if the Lord's willing. The creek don't rise.
It'll be a wacky Wednesday, that's for sure.
We'll have a lot to talk about. We'll talk more about Slapdick, President Slapdick. Excuse me. Somebody got mad at me because I just said Slapdick. President Slapdick. Let's give him the
All the
due that
respect.
he's due. All the respect that he's due.
I'm capable and looking forward to giving him exactly the type of respect that he deserves.
What a just a. All right. I'll peace, love, and Manischewitz, baby.
What a wine. See you, Ben.
See you, Mikey. Oh, and thank you all for listening to our show. We always appreciate it.